Hey guys, I'm super excited to finally get this video done. Honestly, we have been so busy doing loan signing that we haven't had a lot of time to sit down together to record a video. This is my husband, Tim. I just wanted to do a quick interview with my husband so you guys can hear about his journey to being a new loan signing agent. If you guys are curious about what tools we've used to get our business off the ground, just check in the descriptions and we have linked everything that we use, all of our tools, and everything that we have found helpful. Okay, so Tim, when did you first start on this loan signing journey? Do you remember?
Yeah, so I started signing up and registering with the system just a few days after you did, maybe like December, like Christmas of last year. Hopefully, if you guys have seen her videos already, you've seen that I did things a little bit different and I started like quick and cheap just to get things going right away. And so I got everything done and ready and registered, and my background came back fairly quickly, and I got my very first signing, which was a seller's package. December 30th of last year was my first signing.
That's right. So Tim's background check came in sooner, so he was able to get started, and I was super excited for him. And I wanted to ask you, do you remember what was it like getting that very first signing?
Yeah, I do remember. So I was driving home from work, from my day job, and I was about 5 minutes away from home, and I had my phone up on the little dash mount, and I saw a text pop through, and it said signing available, and I was like, oh, are you joking? I haven't even finished like actually getting ready. I was like, I could just brush it off and just wait for the next one, because I honestly I was scared. I was like, I felt like adrenaline dump into my body. I was like, oh my goodness, like this is real. And I pulled to the side of the road and I clicked on it, and it was like $120, and I was like, but it was in 2 hours. I was like, well, I guess I've clicked in this far. I might as well just say yes. And it took like a lot of nerve to like actually click yes, I'm available. And going through my head, I was like, oh, they probably won't pick me or anything. But it was only 15 minutes from my house, so I figured yes, it'll work, or no, I won't. And then it was immediate that I got, you've been assigned, documents are available, and I was like, oh my goodness.
And from my perspective, he came home, I'm expecting him just to come in from work, and he came in and he was like, I got a signing. And we were both like, yay! And then immediately, what was the overpowering feeling that you had?
Oh man, I was terrified. I was so nervous. We hadn't fully set up our printer. It was in place, and we thought it was working. And I didn't have an outfit ready. I wear business casual at my work or my day job, but like I often get dirty, so my business casual is jeans and sneakers. So it's not really like a professional outfit. So like I had to figure out what I had in the closet that I could wear, get that ready. I had been in a warehouse, so I was all dirty and dusty. I'd been all sweaty all day, and I had to go get showered and printed out that first set of documents, and there was no legal documents in it. And of course, my first thought was like, we messed up something with the
Right.
setup. It's not working right. Now what do I do? And so we were frantically like clicking and trying to figure out what in the world is going on with the printers. Is it Adobe? Is it the printer? I don't know. This is our very first printing, and of course, like time is just ticking. And we already have this appointment, and now it's in an hour, and now it's in 40 minutes, and it's just we were coming down to like, should I run to FedEx and print these, because I have no way to know, like. But I finally was like, I wonder if they would know at the signing agency. And I think it was SnapDocs. And I don't know if it was what the service that was going through SnapDocs was. I can't recall, but I sent a message and said, hey, I don't know if there's any legal documents in here, but none printed out. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't have something missing in my settings. And I mean, it was down to like 5 minutes before I had to leave to make it on time. And the loan officer, no title, emailed back and said, nope, no, no legal. It's all letter. You're good to go. I was like,
So we were like, phew. But at this point, you guys, like Tim had gone, he had taken a shower, he had gotten dressed, he looked really nice. And he came out of the office and there was literal sweat like dripping from his brow. Like he was so nervous. And I was just like trying to be a cheerleader and encouraging him, like, you've got this, babe. And he left. And I didn't know how it went until he got home. And tell us just what that first signing experience was like for you.
it was good. I mean, so I had gone through most of Mark's training. I hadn't finished it. I'd gone through most of the loan signing system. And this was a seller's package, so a lot of the stuff that we covered wasn't in there. But fundamentals were. So, like, looking over every page, and there's an interview with Jennifer from Prestige Notaries that she says every single page has initials, signature, and date. And if you make sure that you're looking at every page and those are all covered, then you're good. And so that's kind of the attitude, the strategy that I was looking at it with. And plus, Mark always says, if it's in there and there's blanks, fill it out. And so that's exactly what I did, was I just made sure any blanks were filled out. If I couldn't figure it out, then I couldn't figure it out. And I made sure that every single page I'd look for those three things.
Okay. So when you got there, what was it like? Like, what was the client like, and what was the situation during your first signing?
Yeah, I was super excited and nervous, ready to help this guy sell his property and make a bunch of money because the market's super crazy up here in Northern Oregon. And I got there, and the guy was okay. Like, he was ready to go, but like right away he was, as we were chit chatting and setting up a little spot to sit and sign, which was in his garage with the garage door open because they weren't comfortable having random somebody come in their house during COVID, which I understand. He had mentioned that he was selling this property because that was in a trust from his grandpa. His grandpa had passed away, and it was his favorite grandpa from which he was named after, so he was really disappointed about it. So that's kind of the tone that the signing started with. On the very first page, there was a problem with the numbers. He said that the loan officer had given him different numbers, and that was not what he was expecting. So, I mean, back to the fundamentals of the training, what do? You pick up the phone and call.
Yep.
And that's just what I did. The loan officer or title officer, it must have been title, she explained it thoroughly to him, but in the explanation, he was not happy. He believed that the initial conditions of the loan or the sales package were explained to him differently. And so he was pretty upset, and he was arguing with the title officer saying, this isn't what I was told. I wouldn't have done this if that's what I was told, or if that had been explained to me like that. So yes, he wasn't very happy, but I talked him through it, and she talked him through it, and he finally said, you know what, we've gone this long, I'm ready to just move forward with it, let's get it done. And he signed. And there was one more point during the package that he also contested, but we got her on the phone again, and she also explained it, and again, he wasn't happy with it, but he signed it. Yeah, we were able to finish up, and I said, hey, thanks, appreciate your patience. And he said, yeah, sorry you had such a difficult one for your very first one, but I mean, it is what it is. He said, you did great. You did just fine. I said, thanks, and I headed on home.
And then you got home, and what did you do, since this was your first signing, just to make sure you got everything right?
Well, before I even left the table, I flipped through, if you've seen Mark's, there's a video on YouTube of him going through a loan package signing with his wife, and he goes through everything, and at the very end he double checks his work, and you can see him flipping and checking. And I did the same thing. I flipped through and I looked at all the documents, and I just double checked that everything was right. And then also, yes, when I got home, I sat down and I did it again, because brand new, first time, of course I feel like, of course I missed something. I had to have done something wrong, but I think I got everything good in that very first one. So
you got it all sealed up and ready to ship off. You went to sleep that night. Talk to me about that first night's sleep.
Okay, so that very first night, I remember like having dreams, like waking up and being like did I miss a signature? Wait, was I supposed to go somewhere and do something? Did I miss a signing? Just feeling like anxious about not completing it just because of unfamiliar.
And so, in the long run, did you make any mistakes on that signing?
No, everything was fine on that signing.
And up to this point, how many signings now have you completed?
I think like maybe 8 or 9, maybe 10.
Yep. Talk to me about the difference between how you feel now going into a signing versus how you felt that very first signing.
Yeah, so last night I did a signing and it was my biggest loan package yet. It was 158 pages or something. And so even after 8 or 9 signings in that time, and I've made a couple of mistakes in that time, and in that time, I feel like at this point, I print out the documents and I give them a quick look through. I'm not going through and flagging, which is what I did on the first one. I'm not double checking stuff. All I'm doing is making sure that everything is printed right. I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I can look through the documents and I can adapt to whatever it says. Every single package has something different. It looks different, and it is the nature of the game so far. I'm seeing some of Jody's packages and seeing every single one of mine is different. It doesn't feel like it does me any good to actually look at each document. All I'm doing is making sure that the printing is fine.
So
And
talk to me about your confidence level between the first signing and now, just
yeah,
in the short amount of time.
so I feel very confident. Like I was saying, I went to that signing last night. I didn't even look through the documents, and I was just fine setting up, sitting down, and just starting walking through the documents. I already have established some spiel of this is what I say for this one, this is what I say for that one, and most of the time, pretty much all of the time so far, it's just business as usual. Everybody who's looking at these already understands what they're doing and why they're doing. They just want to be reassured that everything that they're signing for is for a purpose and for a reason. And even if it's not, every one of these packages has redundant documents, 3 or 4 different copies of such. And hey, it just is what it is, and it's easy to explain. Is one person might need a copy, and another person might need it, and another person might need, and it is what it is. You can either sign it or not, and nobody has ever had any problem signing anything for me. So I feel very confident when I'm doing it, and I feel very confident now that I've made a couple of mistakes and had to correct those mistakes. I feel very confident in my process at this early point in my loan signing that I can catch those before I leave the table because I'm very diligent now in my double and triple checking.
So what about when you did make a mistake? Was it awful, like to rectify the mistake, or can you talk a little bit about that?
No, it was just a kind of, a bummer. I think I only did have one problem that I missed something.
I remember it was the dates.
Yeah, so it was January 21st. Nope, excuse me. It was January 25th, 2021. And it was a pretty long package, maybe 120 pages or so. And it was near the end, maybe like 4/5 of the way through. The gentleman that was signing started to, there's so many signatures, and you get fatigued, you get tired looking at this, all these documents over and over, and I totally get it, signing the same thing over and over. He started to make a mistake with writing his dates, where he was writing 1/25/25 or 1/25/2025, and I caught a couple of them as he was doing that, and then I would pull the document out of his copy and just have him redo it. But it wasn't until, and I double checked, I sat there and flipped through, looked at every page before I left the table, didn't see anything. But it wasn't until I got home and I had triple checked, I saw that there was 2 documents that he had signed with a 1/25/25, and I missed it at the table.
Yeah, so wrong date.
Right, wrong date. And it wasn't awful. It was of course, it's a bummer to have to re-engage. And plus, if I wanted to get those documents out in time for FedEx, I was going to have to call in sick from work or take some time off of work, my day job, so that I could go correct that and get them out in time. And that's what I did, is I called in and told my boss I had some personal matters I needed to attend to, so I had to take some time off. And I went back, and I didn't tell him what the problem was when I called him and said I needed to meet with him to have something fixed. And as soon as I pulled it out and I showed him the 25 again, he was like, I'm so sorry. He felt really bad that he had messed it up, and then I was having to go out of my way to do that. Because his house was really close in the same town that we're in, but his job was 30 minutes away, so I had to go over to his job and meet him there to get it done. So,
but hey, you got it fixed and you learned to double
so
check dates.
now I have an established procedure that, okay, flipping and looking is not going to work for me at this point. I need to flip and look at every single thing. Just like what I mentioned about dates, initials, and signature is I am like genuinely looking at every document and processing in my mind, okay, that's all right. Instead of just glancing over, because totally not worth it. I would rather spend 10 minutes or 15 minutes slowly going through the documents after everything's all done than drive out and go somewhere again.
Yeah. Okay, so at this point, do you have any tips for a brand new loan signing agent about what they can do to just feel comfortable, or ways that you have organized your business that have helped you, or anything? Any tips you've got?
Sure. So I think, of course, the most important thing to feel comfortable in anything is practice. And you will never get any practice unless you just do it. Expect that we're all human and we're all going to make mistakes. You just do your best to overcome. And some of the training that we've taken says that even when you do make mistakes, that can be an opportunity for you to earn more business if things go well. And if you actually acknowledge your mistakes and make an attempt to rectify it as a professional would. And so that's my advice for anybody who is starting out.
All right, so my last question for you is, are there any tools that you would recommend for a new loan signing agent?
Yes, definitely. So my favorite tool probably so far that we've used in this business has got to be Notary Gadget. I'm really impressed with all of the functionality and just the organization that comes along with it using that tool.
And I would add that some of the cool things are, when we put in our appointments in Notary Gadget, it automatically populates over to our Google Calendar. So that has been really helpful as we're trying to make sure that there's always one of us home with our kids. So if Tim is out at his day job at work and accepts a signing, he goes immediately and puts it into Notary Gadget, and then that populates over to our Google Calendar. So then if I get an offer, I check there first to make sure that he doesn't also have a signing. And then plus, like, all the information that goes over to the Google Calendar, like we have the signing location, we can just hit on that and it takes us straight to Google Maps to get us there. And it also tells us who the signing service is right on the Google Calendar app. So I feel like that piece of Notary Gadget has been really helpful. But what about on the business end of it? Because also, after we talked to our tax guy, we realized some things that helped us out in Notary Gadget.
Well, one is just tracking the income. Each one of these is a portion of income, but also that notarial acts are exempt from self-employment tax.
Right.
So each time you log a signing and complete a signing in Notary Gadget, you mark how many notarial acts you did, as well as your mileage, which is also an expense. And each one of those things will change your tax liability at the end of the year compared to your income. So I already have a W-2 job, a day job where I'm earning money. This on top of it, I want to lower that tax liability as much as I can, and maybe even enough to cut into my my day job's taxes, which would be, or income, which would be great. So I really love that. One, all of the expenses I'm able to really quickly, anytime I order something or buy something, which at this point isn't a whole lot, is just maintenance, toner and paper so far. I'm able to pop those in and keep track of our expenses really well. And I'm also able to get a really good idea of what kind of tax liability we're going to have. After talking to our tax professional, he said that we should be setting aside a certain percentage of our earnings for this job so that we can pay taxes on that at the end of the year. But I already know, like, well, we're doing that. We set up an account to do that, but we're going to end up not having to pay as much just based on taking out those couple of pieces. So I really like that part. I really like being organized in it so that we make sure that we're doing the right thing, because we don't want to get, dinged at the end of the year because we just didn't know.
Talk to me about education.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I went into this like not knowing anything about mortgage documents. Even in our refinance, I didn't read them at all. I just signed and flipped and signed and flipped. I didn't want to know anything. I saw the closing disclosure in my email a couple of days beforehand, and that's all
Right.
I needed to know. I was happy signing everything. So we were really easy. Our,
Hmm.
our notary had an easy job with us.
That was
So
a quick $150 for her.
so I was, like I said, I didn't know anything about it. And then in order to feel like I'm a good representative of the loan officer and the title officer and everybody else involved in this transaction, I want to be able to explain what I'm putting in front of a buyer to sign
Hmm.
and feel confident and comfortable that I can actually explain it.
So in the beginning, you were kind of reluctant to pay for any training because this says Tim doesn't like paying for stuff to get started. So why did you decide to go ahead and pay for the loan signing system training?
Well, one was for the certificate. I definitely wanted to just get the certificate because um, after, as Jody was going through it, I was learning with her, and so I felt comfortable with getting started. And but once we started signing up for signing agencies, several of them have the option to put the LSS certificate in there, and if that's going to be the deciding factor between one company hiring you or not, that's
Hmm.
$100 or $200 just for one signing. So totally worth it to me to buy that now that I've actually started making some money. But also, one of the coolest things about doing the loan signing system was that yes, I sat down and I went through most of it with Jody
Hmm.
and got started, and I did maybe a handful of signings, two or three of them, and I was like, okay, I need to get that certificate,
Hmm.
and in order to do that, I bought my own course and I sat down and I went through all of that stuff again. And it was so helpful to, one, see it before, do some work, and then see it again. It was like completely eye opening to say, yes, I know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I've said that exact same thing. I totally understand that. And so using that loan signing system, and then I finished all of the training. I finished all of the modules that I didn't sit down and do with Jody. So yeah, finishing that loan signing system training was super, super helpful in getting this going, making me feel like confident and professional so that I could make the signer have a good transaction.
And then also the whole marketing piece of it and treating this more than just like a little side hustle, but actually treating it like a real business that could potentially bring you home from your day job.
So that's something I've been working on, is gathering loan officer information and title officer information, putting together a spreadsheet for Jody's going to be the primary marketer because this business is under her name. I'm just kind of part of the team.
Hmm.
And so I want to gather that and let her reach out to them. And we've already started doing that.
Hmm.
So
But I would say that piece, that having that encouragement with all of the marketing and so much of Mark's course is really about being a good business owner. And I have really appreciated that. And it was really nice for Tim to go through all that training too so that we could be on the same page. So, yeah, you guys, thank you so much for being here. It was really fun to get to introduce my husband to you and just to talk to you and for him to share his experience about what it was like for him starting this business, because we really are different in our approaches, but a lot of similarities too. So, hope you enjoyed this. See you soon.